again to another episode of the BrandyLibrary.tv, and this time we have the honor of having here Mr. Tom Bulleit. How are you, Tom?
I'm well, thank you. It's an honor to be invited. Thank you.
Absolutely,
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you here. And well, I guess we have you here to talk a little bit about your fantastic bourbon, which now it's a legendary bourbon, let me tell you.
It's a good thing.
And a new product that it's been just launched in the market, I say.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the bourbon just to begin?
Well, we'll talk about, usually when I talk about our bourbon and about whiskey in general, I'll talk about maybe three categories. I'll talk about the ingredients, a little bit like the culinary arts.
Okay.
Talk about the ingredients. We'll talk about chemistry and a little bit about aging, since all the brown goods are aged.
Okay.
It is 68% corn, 4% malted barley, 28% rye.
Wow.
The old family recipe, that's an old family recipe, Augustus Bulleit, he would have called himself Augustus Bulleit,
Okay.
which I get a lot. He was French, immigrated from New Orleans, and then my great-grandfather, John Joseph, anglicized the name to Bulleit without changing the spelling, so now we both misspell and mispronounce it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can see. Well, everybody knows
Yeah.
these were Bulleit, so.
Yeah. Has a beautiful color, of course.
Mhm.
That is brown goods, we call them, the whiskeys.
Mhm.
Bourbons in this case. All of the color of the American straights comes from the barrel. 100% of it. The products have absolute integrity. There's no coloring. The only thing you can do with American straights, which these both are,
Mhm.
is take them out of the barrel, dump the barrels, and cut them to proof. They come out at about 117, about 119 proof, and we'll cut them to 90 proof.
Very well. And when you talk about barrels, are you talking about like a standard 53-gallon?
Exactly.
Okay.
Standard 53-gallon barrel, new white American oak.
Okay.
We're required to use new white American oak. We can use it just once. Most of Scotch is aged in used bourbon barrels, as you know. About 95% of Scotch, they tell me, is aged in used bourbon barrels. So they have a nice long life.
Very well.
So we have the recipe.
Mhm.
Chemistry, you've heard the Scotch people, of course, talk about wasting the heads and the tails and taking the heart of the whiskey, or the golden band,
Mhm.
which is primarily ethyl alcohol. And both the rye and the bourbon, we do that chemistry. We just use the heart of the whiskey. Chemistry, we make our bourbon in Lawrenceburg, Kentucky, below the Mason-Dixon line, which I think is historically the case. Historically what happened in America, and the rye is just above the Mason-Dixon line. Both need limestone water. You need a great water source, and in both distilleries we have a wonderful water source. So that's sort of what patented yeast strain, different patented yeast strain. That's sort of ingredients.
Very well.
Other than I'll jump over here with ingredients. We did our three grains here, and then 2 grains for the rye. The rye is going to be 95% rye, 5% malted barley.
Very well.
We might notes.
Yeah, if you don't mind.
No, go right ahead and tell me. You would be better at tasting notes than me. Tell me what you're tasting. Tell me what your nose and taste.
Well, first of all, I have to tell you, the nose is fantastic. You know, you can definitely smell the rye. You know, that sharpness, that nice, almost floral note that sometimes I get. It's so nice and spicy. However, it's rounded. You know, you don't get too much of a bite. Tell me, how do you get these flavors? How do you get this complexity?
Well, the spiciness that you're picking up, of course, is going to come from the rye. Which is about a third rye. My great-great-grandfather's recipe was 2/3 corn, 1/3 rye. So the spiciness is going to come from the rye. The vanilla tones, the vanilla notes are going to come from the barrel, from the red layer behind the char in the barrel. Bulleit, our bourbon matures between 6 and 8 years, averages about 7. The ryes are maturing a little bit faster, different aging conditions, different microcosms, different sort of warehouses. So we're in about 5 to 7 years, we're getting nice maturity.
Very well.
For them, as you can see with the color, we're getting beautiful colors. And as they age, they'll darken, of course, from the char as they get older.
Now, do you picture this, the rye, for example, to be bottled at an older age, let's say 10, 12 years?
No, I think we're getting very nice age. We're looking when we bottle our whiskeys. I was talking to some of the fellas, as you very well know, the families. Well, the larger companies tend to distribute and in some cases own the brands. The people who make them tend to be the families in Kentucky, and we all have different philosophies of aging. We've done a lot of work on aging, and in fact, our bourbons don't get better after about 8 years.
Okay.
They're not ready before 6, but they don't get much better. And we found the same thing with the ryes. We're getting some will mature, some of the barrels will come to maturity, some depends on location and warehouse. And then of course, weather is what ages the whiskeys. So it depends on what happened the last 6 or 8 years, how extreme the temperatures were, what sort of variation we're getting. But the same thing is happening with the rye. We're getting
the perfect balance of the oak. You have enough of those oaky flavors, and you have the subtle vanilla, the caramel, but it's not overpowering. You can still feel plenty of the grain. You know, the rye is definitely the main component, which is one of the beauties of this.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, it's amazing, and it stays with you. Yeah, even more than the bourbon, I will say. It just lingers, sort of like nice, subtle cane. I'm actually excited about this.
We're finding it to be very, of course, the mixologists and bartenders are using ryes now because the classic recipes and cocktails are called for rye, but we're finding people are really enjoying it straight like this, up, and maybe with a piece of ice in it, open it up a little bit.
Is that how you recommend it? With just a little bit of ice?
I think the American straights, both the bourbon and the rye, are better with just maybe a piece of ice or a little water, depending upon what you like. I think water is to whiskey as oxygen is to wine. I think there's no question that it opens them up a little bit.
Okay.
It also will have some tendency, depending upon the volume of ice or water you put in, to pull the alcohol bloom back from your face. They're both 90 proof, so what you're going to maybe nose initially, you are not because you're a whiskey aficionado, but and a whiskey aficionado would drink them just like this. But I think from just an enjoyment standpoint, I like the water opening them up some, and I like them chilled a little bit.
Okay, very well.
Yeah. I would say that we a couple of weeks ago we were in San Francisco for our rye launch, and the weekend before the Bulleit Rye won a double gold medal in the San Francisco World Spirits Competition for the liquid, and then a few days later won for the glass.
Wow, must be exciting for you.
Historically, the bourbon has also done that. Yeah.
Very well. You know, there's a distinctive note, kind of like floral, that I get in most ryes, but in this one it's just clean. It's subtle, but it's there. It's definitely present. It makes it more attractive to me, at least.
I think chemistry has something to do with it. A little bit of chemistry, as well as distilling is art and chemistry. As you know, sort of the combination of those things.